And lastly, so we've actually already talked about this, but it's in my game news anyway, so I'll go ahead and say it one more time because I think Royal might have more to say about it. And that's Aliens Colonial Marines came out, and it was a bit of a bomb according to players and critics alike, but now the floodgates are starting to open up as more information of the struggles and potential lawsuits that come out between developer Gearbox, the makers of Borderlands, and the publisher of Sega comes to light. Sega is actually accusing Gearbox of holding the game back as Borderlands 2 not only had a smaller development period, but that its ratings are so much more higher, and yet the same developer who's made this game isn't doing so well with the critics. And so they're accusing them of some various underhanded deeds, but I'm not sure why Gearbox would try to damage themselves like this. Yes, it may have been a project largely between several different companies, and that always makes a problem, but you still don't want to put your name on something that you know is going to hurt your reputation as a whole, especially in this era of game companies going under left and right these days.
It's something that I've looked into because there are also rumors around Gearbox supposedly losing half the bill for the game and then just dropping the game. Now I know that Sega is usually like, we've given you a deadline, here, put it out, and shut up. You know what I'm saying? Sega has no problem with that. I don't know why Sega would be pissed at someone releasing something that is subpar to games they've released previously when, let's see, how about every Sonic game ever since the 1990s has blown just to a proportion that's ridiculous. But yeah, it's this thing where people saw the tech demo, and you can still look at the tech demo for Aliens Colonial Marines. And there is content that after playing the entirety of the campaign, you never do in the game, like the power lifter. You never actually interact with the power lifter. There's a scene where you see two of them, and we were playing it, and we were like, this is where we get to do it. And then you don't. And then I don't think you ever really see another one again. And it's one of those things where it's like, it feels like they took a game that they had made and showed it to everybody and got everybody excited, and then for whatever reason, be it loss of data, be it maybe they took people off of the team, you know, and couldn't finish it the way that they wanted to, but they had pushed the game back twice under Sega, and I don't understand how they did that, and then they did. So this is what I want to say. The game as a whole, the game should be rated as a game, and I think it's a solid 6.5 of 7 as a game. It's got solid multiplayer components, things like that. But what people are doing is they're letting, and this is not Gearbox's fault, they're letting the hype that was built up around it affect their ratings.
And this has never happened to Gearbox before. Duke Nukem.
Right, and I mean, it's literally the exact same thing. It's a huge franchise, and everybody's looking at them like, how are you doing this? Borderlands is so good, and personally, I like Borderlands. I think it's a solid game. They had these pre-order things. I actually wanted to talk about this earlier when you said something about demoing, what was it, The Last of Us, by purchasing some other game, completely unrelated game. If any developer ever hears this message, stop that. Give us our demos. Let us try your games. Let us enjoy them. Make a solid demo. Let us enjoy it, and get us to buy your game that way. I don't need hats in Team Fortress 2. I don't need, all of this other pre-order stuff that you're trying to give me. You show me that it's a solid game, I will pre-order it to show you that I have interest.
I have noticed that a lot of console demos are getting fewer and fewer. As a matter of fact, it's big news when a developer says, we're releasing a demo anymore.
Yeah, on a AAA title, it's unheard of.
The Devil May Cry was supposed to have a demo, and it was, yes, well, maybe not. Well, it's almost time, so maybe not. And it went on like that for 2 months. They finally did actually produce a demo, and it was probably a good thing because it helped sell a game nobody was actually really looking forward to.
People had very little interest. You had a couple fanboys that were excited about it, and then you had people who, had played the game and were done with the game and were like, because it's a revamp, isn't it? Yeah, and they were like, why do I want to play a revamp from the start? And I thought the demo sold the game really well. Multiplayer games on PC all the time have beta and alpha, and it's to test stuff, but it sells the game. Battlefield 3, huge numbers. What did they do? An extensive beta and alpha with a public beta for every player who wanted it. You didn't have to do anything. Sign up and play the game.
And part of that's by necessity, simply to test those servers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I can already feel Grover's anger rising. Do you want to go ahead and say it?
Oh, what, SimCity?
Yes.
Maxis could go to hell. They were supposed to give everybody in the last beta and everybody that pre-ordered beta access, and they gave like 10,000 people, and they're like, oh, we're done giving out them. And we're just like, what? You just promised. And they're like, yeah, we're just not going to do that.
What digital currency prevents you from allowing me to try your shitty game, Maxis?
Yeah, especially when they promised people that pre-ordered that they would get in the beta, and then told, nah, you're not going to get in. And I saw a lot of people saying, we're going to do chargebacks then. We're going to take our money back. And of course, they're like, you do that, we'll ban your Origin account. account.
Yeah.
So they trapped him.
Yeah. Thank you,
know what
EA,
this-
yet again, making yourself look like a bunch of jackasses.
You know what this sounds like, though. Their servers are not ready. I think
I
they
don't know
hit
what
a
it sounds
point
like.
and had a lot of problems, and uh-oh, they're panicking. We better not let people see what's happening here.
But that's the thing is, the Battlefield 3 beta was the buggiest, most, like, people were saying, I have already pre-ordered this game, I'm in your beta, I don't want your game anymore. There are bugs, there are glitches, there's, you know, blah, 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 blah. There were tons of problems. People were crawling through the ground. It was a broken game, and it still went on to have really good numbers because they sat there and they said, listen guys, you're playing an old build that we had just for a massive public beta so that we could stress test our servers. You're doing that well, we appreciate it, but trust us, we put out finished content at the end. And this is the same people, EA, I don't know why they wouldn't do the exact same thing. Like, again, what digital currency does there exist that prevents you from letting, you know, where's the switch between 10,000 and 100,000 and 500,000 people besides servers, you know? Because all you have to do is tell people, we're stress testing servers, and they'll line up. They'll sit through, I remember WoW beta and vanilla WoW, where it wasn't completely unheard of for if you were trying to get on at peak hours to sit there for a good 5 to maximums of 30 minutes waiting to get into a server.
And this is exactly what Maxis was doing. They were like, hey, we're doing a stress test, and we're thinking there's going to be maybe 200,000 people trying to get on the server. And, you know, we're thinking this could be awesome. And then we found out they let 10,000 people on, and they consider that a stress test.
That's not a where's the stress in that situation? I think they don't understand stress. I think that Maxis is so laid back from making Sims games. Look at their games. There's no stressful content in those games. You're never fighting a real enemy. It's always like, oh, here's simulations of stuff. So maybe they just literally don't understand. Will Wright's a really laid back guy. Maybe they just don't understand what actual stress is. It's just like stress test. That means a whole bunch of people get in and get stressed, and the rest of them stress out, right? We'll do that. Here's 10,000. Now the rest of you stress. But I mean, yeah, Maxis is one of those companies. Sometimes I attribute them with everything that's wrong with gaming today. Like, Will Wright knew how to sell a $50 game and then $40 expansion packs sometimes multiple times in a year. And look at DLC now, what it's become. It's just constantly updating and things like that, and they're asking for more and more money from you, which I'm fine with. I love to give games that I like more money and get more content from it. That seems like a good trade to me.
I'm seeing more and more games actually have free DLC lately, too.
And that's very solid.
Yeah.
But the issue is things like, I'm not one of those people who cries out against, like, day one DLC.
No.
Because I understand that in the process of making a game, you're going to make a game, you're going to start production of it, and then you're going to continue to finalize the product. Now, I do have a problem with, like, disc unlocked DLC, because that means they literally had it ready to go on the disc, and then they said, oh yeah, but we want some more of your money.
They're just trying to spare you the download, right? Isn't that the excuse?
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, but you're asking me to pay money for something on my disc. I hate that, but day one DLC on the whole download, I'm fine with. But the issue that I have is DLC where it's things like Oblivion did this to us all, and we smiled and took it, where they were like, hey guys, horse armor. Oh, you mean my horse takes damage before it dies? No, it just looks pretty. And we all were like, gotta have horse armor, gotta have it. And I think it's got a lot to do with, and this isn't a criticism, but this is what's shaping our industry, is it's got a lot to do with console DLC now being so readily available. There was a time where if a game developer told you, hey guys, we're going to give you something that's a texture in the game, we would have gone, yeah right buddy, modders. You know, like, that's what the community for your game is there for. But then consoles don't have the access to that, and so they just willingly shell out that cash, and then console gamers come to PC and continue to willingly shell out that cash because they're not aware of the modder community. I had modded horse armor on Oblivion the day before the DLC came out.
Yeah, I had all kinds of mods for that game.
Yeah.
And Skyrim too.
Yeah,
It seems they learned a little bit from Oblivion though, at least.
Yeah, oh yeah, actual content-driven DLC with Skyrim. It's super awesome. It's not stuff that nobody's gonna mod in the Dragonborn stuff, for instance. I mean, I'm sure they could, but it seems like a hassle or something like that. So, but they're doing much better with Skyrim than they did with Oblivion, because Oblivion pissed people off. But they still, again, it's consumerism, man. If people consume it, they're going to continue to push it on you.
Right.
And again, that's the epitome of everything that's wrong with the gaming industry now, is that for whatever reason, and I'm not going to blame it on console players because PC players are exactly as liable for the whole thing.
Gullible.
Yeah, if you continue to consume, they're going to continue to put it out. Boom.
It is supply and demand.
Yeah.
It is no joke.
Oh, it got quiet. I guess it's time to finish up the game news here, which is just one little line. And don't forget, the two big franchise bruisers will be duking it out this next week for the new releases, as both Crysis 3 and Metal Gear Revengeance get multi-platform launches.
Oh, man.
So upgrade your computer, Crysis 3 players.
Is it still the same thing? Is Crysis still the same thing? I played the original Crysis because it was like, hey, you have a kick-ass PC, then play this game. And then Crysis 2 came out on consoles. And I was like, wait. Consoles are 5 years old now already. How do you have to have
it was a complete sellout, the consoles.
Oh, yeah. And here's the worst part. The PC version was a port of the console versions.
Mm-hmm.
It was a humongous slap in the face. And who did they blame for this? They blamed piracy. They said piracy is the reason why we did this.
Which is so bullshit, because listen, let me tell you, Steam, Gabe Newell, Valve's Steam, is the biggest, facade of a thing ever, because this is what it is. If you aren't unaware, this is what Valve is. It's, hey, we're gonna give you really good sales sometimes with decent software for complete online DRM for every game you own. And that's what it is. It's an online DRM system that they included a friends list and some sales on. And people eat it up. And it's like, I don't understand how you think that, piracy drove us to this. No, put it on Steam. I mean, of course it's not going to stop piracy, but when you see billions of dollars go through Steam for game purchases, it's like, why would you do anything else? So, yeah, but that's definitely, that's a cop-out on them. And if I'm not mistaken, Crysis is EA, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, much...
So it'll probably be on Origin.
Yeah, much... and Origin's the same thing, though. Origin is their online DRM, but they still... Crysis 2, complete port. They made a game for consoles, they put it on PC, they didn't even give us, scale-up options. It was, here's the console experience on your PC, and all that entails. And that's the stuff that I can't stand console ports over to PC. If you want me to wait a couple extra months, that's fine, but build me a P version of the game.
Ever. I don't want PC to console either. Make your own damn versions for each one.
Yeah. I could understand PC to console a little better. Because it's like, make the best version of the game, okay, now water it down a little bit. But yeah, you should develop for the specific hardware that you are trying to put your game on, because that's how you get the best experience.
I completely agree there. And that's one of the major things I have with companies when they do that crap.
Listen, and I know that we're busy hating on EA and Maxis at the same time, but Will Wright, when he did Spore, does anybody remember that Spore was this, it was innovative thing?
It was mind-blowing.
Yeah, because this is what he did. He said, hey guys, I built a game in 3 months with 12 grad students. Or was it? It was a month. It was a month, wasn't it? I built a game in a month where all it does is recognizes its own physics and then puts them into use. And people were like, think of the applications that this could mean for AAA gaming and stuff like that. And then EA was like, hey, make Spore like a real thing and just make the game and shut up about it.
And it's sad because the technology there was brilliant, and I've never seen it used since.
No, of course not, because, again, I think when I saw that news, I was like, of course Will Wright's going to try to do that, because he ruined the game industry by making it okay to spend $120 on the same copy of one game, But, because if game developers do that, then game publishers lose, and this is the real war. A lot of people think it's like, oh, it's the consumers versus the devs and the publishers, and no, it's not. It's the devs versus the publishers, and we are the pawns on that chessboard. And no, they don't all have terrible relationships, but what you have to look at is the developer has a dream that they want to make a reality and make a game of, and then the publisher gives them their limitations, their budgets, their deadlines, and all of those things that ruin games.
That's about it.
Yeah, and it's like a publisher's job is literally to be the corporate headquarters of your favorite video games. And it sucks because what I would love to see, Amazon got this whole awesome thing going on, right? When they said, hey, you're a writer, self-publish your book. Put it on Amazon, we'll put it on our Kindles, and people can buy it, give you their money directly. And I thought that that's what we were going to see with Steam Greenlight. We were going to see this thing where it was like, hey guys, take your original content and give it to people who are hungry for it. But in fact, it just turned out to be, hey guys, remember Valve's a publisher, so we're going to monetize your games from wherever you want. Oh, a whole bunch of iOS and Android games coming over to Steam? Yeah, that's fine. That seems like that should appease people. The first day I logged into Greenlight, it was like Muffin Night or something, which is a game I literally had on my phone right then. And I was like, why would I pay money again for that game on a different play? It works fine on the mobile. Why do I need it on Steam on my PC?
Because the PC players want to play it.
Yeah, but PC players have phones. I mean, it's just, and that's the thing is, until we have something where developers can legitimately self-publish their games, we will not see a legitimate change in the gaming industry. And Kickstarter has started it, but the fact of the matter is that when you're giving those people that money on those Kickstarters, and I love Kickstarter, don't get me wrong, but a portion of that goal is to hire a publisher to push out their game, because otherwise they would have to have a much larger goal in order to do it themselves, because there's just not the channels in place for someone to go, here's my game, and receive vast amounts of income from it. So, that's it.
I pretty much agree with you.
Yeah. Like I said, I will rant all day on this stuff because I'm sick of seeing us yell at devs and publishers when we're half the problem. Each one is using us to further their own goals. You know, devs think that if they have the community support, that means they can get away with whatever they want. For instance, Infinity Ward. I like the guys. I'm not a big Call of Duty fan, but I can recognize a game that looks solid and does a good thing. But they thought that because people love their game so much, that they could get away with doing whatever they want as a company. And that's just...
got them a bit of trouble there.
Yeah, it got them in a lot of trouble. And it's because, again, you're a developer. Your job is to develop, and you have to do your job. And the publisher, I understand that the publisher is there to make money on giving us the games. That's fine with me. But, like in the chat, why would you stop milking a cash cow? Of course, no one would stop milking it. But when you're trying to milk it and little poofs of air are coming out because consumers stop having this attitude of just buy, whatever they say is gold, then you can actually make a difference. But it's something that I'd love to see happen with gaming. Is we talk on the stream a lot about how it's ironic that Sony has a great hardware, but their software is crap, and Microsoft has a great software, but their hardware is crap. And we talk all the time about what would happen if those two just combined forces. And
another megacorp.
Yeah, but listen, here's the thing is, in that situation, what you would have is you would have the console versus, well, Nintendo would still hang around, but who really cares? That's base level consumerism. But you would have, for hardcore gamers, you would have the console and the PC. And the competition would be between those two instead of satisfying a base consumerism on as many platforms as you can. So that's what I think it is.
Well, the competition is important simply to balance out what people can do, just like the telephone companies overcharging for their services or their internet connections. If there gets to be too much of a monopoly of something, you're going to have that lack of competition, and without the lack of competition, prices are going to go up, and we're going to see a bunch more just shoveled crap. But at the same time, publishers are a necessary evil simply because of the fact that sometimes a game company needs to have limits on how much they spend on the game and just get the game made.
I'm a firm believer of the fact that if you just let developers run free, you'd never see the game, and there'd just be volumes of cash spent on it. But what I think...
Duke forever!
Yeah, Duke forever.
That's going to keep coming up the entire conversation.
Yeah, and you release it. It's no big deal. But this is what I'm saying is, right now, look at what the competition gets us. It gets us, hey, buy this game at GameStop to get exclusive DLC on just the Xbox. Buy this game at Walmart to get exclusive DLC on just the PS3. And it's all this stuff where it's exclusives in games. They are literally taking away content, or sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it's like cosmetic, but they are literally
punishing you for not buying in the right place.
Yeah, I think, it was Total Biscuit, I think, said it like a while ago. And he said it best, and that's the only reason I bring him up, but he said they are literally punishing you for not buying the game in 7 places at once. Like, how dare you buy one copy of this game, you don't get the whole thing. And it's ridiculous. That's what competition right now is getting us, because game prices aren't going down. In fact, if anything, I've seen indie prices going up. There was a time where indie games were like, oh, you're going to spend a max of $20. Now indie games are sitting at $49.99 without me having ever heard about them, and they just get on a Steam top seller list, so now my interest is peaked.
Yeah, I've seen that too, where some of them, where they're indie, but they're kind of turning into AAA.
Yeah, and it's like, without even having a franchise to prove themselves or something, here's our first game as an indie title, but we put a lot of work into it, so pay $50. And I have no problem with that, but you didn't give me a demo. I've barely heard anything about your game. Stop it. You're an indie developer. Like, that's supposed to be the point, is you charge a like-minded price for your product. Like, look at the indie games that existed before this whole change started to happen with, like, Super Meat Boy and stuff like that. They were cheap, and then they always went on sale through Steam. And I honestly I think that Steam is kind of a little bit at fault in this situation, because they constantly cut the prices of those games, and when they do that, I don't know how they do it, if they take the cut from their side or if they take the cut from what goes to the developer/publisher. I don't know what they do, but I feel like if you're constantly cutting a $10 game down to $2 on sales through Steam, and the developer is seeing less profit because of that, then they're just going to go, okay, then we need to charge more money so that Steam can lower the price at a similar percentage, but we see more income.
That's very possible.
That's probably what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's like, that is literally the competition making our games more expensive, which is supposed to be the opposite. Competition is supposed to keep quality and prices at a similar distance. You know, we're supposed to have them parallel to each other instead of quality just shoots down and price shoots up. But it seems like that's what's happening, and I wonder if, you know, we saw a megacorp between Sony and Microsoft, even if they didn't merge companies and just decided to go in on a console together, and then they could both do whatever they wanted with it. I think that what you would see is you'd have the console and you'd have the PC, and you'd see a thing where now the struggle for the developer and the publisher is how do we maximize our audience, and you would see games that tend to do better on console, your Halos and your Call of Duties and stuff like that, would veer more towards console, and they would result in more fleshed out games, better experiences for the people, things like that. And you'd see games that veer towards PC, you know, a lot of your strategy games and your higher end shooters, you'd see them get better and better, and you'd see the quality improve. That's what I think. I think it needs to be the console, the PC, and they need to stop fighting amongst themselves with consoles and then throwing PC into that mix. Or like, oh, here's your new guns and all that stuff that you get for buying at GameStop with your Xbox copy of this game. What did you get from buying it on Steam for PC? A Team Fortress 2 hat.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally that. It's not helping the PC to gain any fans. And there was an article a long time ago I read that's talking about the death of PC gaming, and I don't think it's going to die. I don't think it could ever die. But because even if Steam just shut down and said we're not doing it anymore, well, first off, I'd be mad that I'd lost like the $2,000 worth of retail product that's on Steam account.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think I would freak out.
I know. The world would literally implode with the sheer rage of gamers around it, around the globe. Just, you'd have a collective head desk facepalm moment, and then the world would just implode. But no, if they said, no, we're not going to sell games anymore, you can still access your stuff, but we can't do it. Legal battles, we can't sell games anymore. Modders would keep games running on PC. The community would make the PC run.
Before they'll do it again.
Yeah, and I mean, they really did it before. That's where PC gaming started, was like, the first PC game that I remember picking up was a giant-ass floppy, and it didn't have any product stuff on it. It was a floppy with a piece of tape and the name scribbled onto it. And it was something that some guy within walking or driving distance of the store where I got the game had brought there to sell.
Pretty much.
Do it.
Put it in a little Ziploc bag.
Yeah, put it in a Ziploc baggie.
If you're lucky, it might have a photocopy, and I mean like the old black and white Xerox dot printers at that, of a picture or a name.
Yeah, right. Or like some kind of ASCII 2 picture name thing where it's, I've made a picture out of these text lines. Look at it, it's beautiful. And that was like a big deal for me when I first saw it. I was like, heck yeah, this is amazing. There's an image on that made out of text. I get it. I can do that.
Yeah, Grim Jin was showing our age here.
But yeah, I mean, I don't long for those days necessarily. I think that we're better for having, you know, a lot of the work that we have in the industry. But I think that it is also, my first game was on an Atari. So you started and see, that's the thing, is like Atari was console, and then PC gaming started to catch up slowly because people realized this need. I personally started gaming in arcades. I couldn't get a console. We couldn't afford one. But I
got a Nintendo when I was 4 years old.
Wow, 4? You were putting with a silver spoon in your mouth, Grover.
No. My family was fairly poor. I wanted it. I guess I wanted it. I was 4 years old, but I got it. First, they got me a cat to see if I'd shut up. Then they said I wouldn't shut up, so then they gave me it.
Well, that's good.
I got a cat and a Nintendo.
At least you didn't shut up with just...
Can you beat that? A cat and a Nintendo? That's perfection.
If you take a picture of that right now, you'd get like hundreds of thousands of upvotes on Reddit.
Probably.
You know, that's all you need to get really popular on Reddit, is a cat and a Nintendo.
There you go.
I did want to talk about for a second. Well, actually, you kind of brought it up. And I touched on it earlier with, like, the Star Wars and stuff like that, and people getting pissed when those franchises try to come to a new audience. As a community, and this is to everyone, we have to stop that. Like, as gamers, as lovers of sci-fi or fantasy or whatever it is that you love, stop complaining when, for instance, Halo 4, right? Halo fanboys got their panties all up in a twist because it catered to new people to the franchise, and it was made by completely different people. And they still thought that they were going to get the exact same experience, copy and pasted. Considering myself a true gamer, is exactly what I don't want to have happen. I don't want copy and paste experiences. I'm tired of that.
has told everybody that if SimCity fails this time, if it doesn't work, that's it. SimCity is dead. They're done. So people really think of that.
Why would you be like, oh, hey, man, don't make it easier for more people to come in? This community of 10,000 people will keep your game afloat. No, it won't. That's why they're telling you they need more people.
This is exactly what happened to Square with its Final Fantasy franchise.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. Like, Final Fantasy games, yeah, they've changed because there's a new audience out there to consume games. And you can't convince people in that audience that a system that was relevant when we were playing 8-bit and 16-bit games is still relevant in today's world of 3D and fast-paced and stuff like that. I understand that, you know, us old codgers sometimes will want what we used to have, but that's what nostalgia is for.
And usually the game developers will add that. They just have to add other stuff too, and this seems to freak these people out.
It's like
it doesn't make sense to me.
We are the most oddly nostalgic community I have ever experienced, because not a whole lot of communities would stand in the way of progress just to see their nostalgia sated.
The Centropolis ones are horrible because I've literally heard people on Centropolis say they would rather have SimCity die than have casual players join them. And I'm just like,
the same thing happened when Age of Empires went online. Age of Empires Online is now like it's semi-MMO, and they took it from like its semi-realistic graphics to a very cartoony look and feel. And there was still a really big community for that game, and a lot of them were like, you're catering to casuals, no. And they were done with it. And it's like, you are actively attempting to stand in the way of progress of more people joining and loving the thing that you love. I don't understand how you could do that.
Max is literally to Centropolis, and it told all the fan base that if we had to choose between casual players and our elite players, we will throw you elites in the trash.
Wow.
And we will not look back. Just to look at, and I was like, they needed to do that too. They needed to remind the boss. You guys like the game, and you guys, but we're making this game to make money too. You need to remember that.
Yeah.
And 10,000 people's not enough.
Yeah. One online community, because you never have everyone from within a community in the one joining place, you know? Like, even if you go and you find the exact specific subreddit that you need on Reddit, you're not talking to everyone who shares your exact ideals and opinions on the topic.
Exactly. Some people go to that topic simply to argue about it.
Yeah, and then there are people who love it who will never see it because they don't know that site exists or something like that. So even though you think you're the be-all, end-all of a fan base, you're not.
There's way more than Centropolis anymore, because there used to be, Centropolis has these really stupid copyright rules and everything. For mods, you can't add somebody else's stuff to your mod, even if they give you permission. You have to show them a link to the dependency. And to me, I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen a community make you do. And they're like, we're not going to change it. And,
again, that's actively standing in the way of progress. Like, oh, could it be easier for you to mod something by taking something from someone else who's not making any kind of profit on it? Okay, well, here, have it.
Some people said that, well, fine, we're just going to do it outside of your website. I mean, literally, there is no legal ramification that you can do to us other than ban us from your site, which doesn't teach us a thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That might be one of the prime examples of a terrible internet community just hurting what they love.
But we're also in an age where lawsuits are about as frequent as they've ever been. For frivolous means. So I can really easily see a community like that getting a publisher or at least the forums heads in trouble simply because them having their name around it is like condoning it. That's the same thing that torrents are having problems with about the piracy issues. They're getting blamed for being part of the piracy problem, which, is technically accurate. But at the same time, they're not the ones actually pirating the stuff.
It was like with the Sims, when the people were selling their stuff, their mods and stuff, and they finally started whining to EA, and EA was like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not supposed to be doing that in the first place. And, then
EA turns around and makes microtransactions on.
Exactly. They're like, oh, fine, if you guys want to sell stuff, we're going to sell stuff too, and guess what? They're going to want our stuff than you.
We're going to do it too, and we're going to take a cut off of your profits. Hope that's okay.
Exactly.
Otherwise, lawsuit.
They're just like, what have we done?
Yeah, you created a monster. But listen, it's progress. I have no problem with microtransactions in Sims for two reasons. One, if I want something bad enough, I will go and make it. You know, I will
That's
use
literally
it.
where the term "shut up and take my money" came from.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm fine with, you know, do your microtransactions. I don't want them, but someone will. So make your money, that's fine. But in that specific game, it's a game with a $60 cost, well, when it came out, a $60 cost on the main game, and then $30 to $40 expansions, and then $20 packs of stuff, and then microtransactions. I don't see how EA can ever be like, guys, we're literally handing them money to be the bad guys that everybody makes them out to be, and that's the worst place for it, and people continue to do it. And the reason is because those are those gamers. Those are those casual gamers, and there's nothing wrong with being a casual gamer, but those are those casual gamers who don't know any better and don't involve themselves with any gamer communities because of how we mock them. Oh, you're a casual. No, stop that. Tell them, hey guys, look, you're casual, that's fine. You know, you play games, I play games. We've got common
you play
ground.
your type, I play my type. And that's, I've actually had people call me a casual gamer for playing SimCity and Civilization. I'm like, are you serious?
Well, calling you casual for Civilization is a ridiculous notion.
Yeah.
That game is anything
pretty stupid. There's some morons out there that believe that if you don't play FPS, you're a casual gamer.
Right, and that's frat boy gamers.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about that for a second. That's frat boy gamers. Like, that's the college kid mentality of you have to play what I play or else you.
Yeah.
You know?